I'm going to show you how I use a single die with multiple colors to create an even a better image. I placed this pretty paper on a light green base and cut out a frame to reveal a strip of green forming a frame. I actually turned the inside paper the opposite direction as the outside frame to mix up the pink and green colors. I usually match them up, but I think it worked well for this card, bringing some balance to the overall color scheme. I'm trying to decide what to do with this card base. It seems so sweet. It could be a welcome baby card or perhaps an anniversary card. It needs something, but what? I like how the green frame of the card base peeks through. Shito has full confidence in me that I will do right by this card. Did you catch her wink? Let me show it to you again in slow motion. See? She knows I can do it. Well, I finally decided on the embellishment for this sweet card base. A little bluebird. I think of it as the little bluebird of happiness. I made this bird on a branch using a single die, and I'm going to show you how I did it in this video. You don't need complicated and expensive dies to create great images. I bought this simple die off Amazon, and I don't remember the price, but it was cheap. First thing I did was to pull out some colors from my little scrap bin. My scrap bin has all the squared up leftovers from previous projects. This is the place where I always go first when I need just a little bit of color, usually for an embellishment. I wanted a bluish color for the main body, but not a true blue. More like a greenish blue to work with the green that's in the paper background. But it had to be a darker shade to have a good contrast, which was not hard with such a light background paper. I chose a pink for the belly of the bird, again working with the colors of the background paper. I needed a little spot of white to the side of the head. I chose golden orange for the beak. I didn't want a pure orange, but something a little closer to yellow. And naturally, I chose brown for the branch. Then I chose a darker pink, more like a fuchsia. I don't know what it's color of the paper. I don't pay attention to names of colors. I just know colors that I like and what it is to me. It's a fuchsia to me for the blossoms on the branch because I wanted a darker pink than what the pink is on the paper. Now, with all my colors chosen, it was time to start cutting. I just placed the color I needed under each portion that I desired to be that color. I did not cut out the feet because, well, they're so tiny, but they're crossing over the branch. I can make them work as is. Then, with scissors, I cut off the parts that I do not need of that color. My cat supervised as I used the same die to cut out the pieces that I needed until she was no longer interested in the process. When I cut out the flowers, I included part of the branches so that the flowers would stay attached. I pulled out my tools for working with small pieces. I still had a bit of trimming to do. Okay, well, this tool is not working for me. Let's choose another tool. Okay, this one works much better. I needed to hold the tiny beak while I cut off the part that I didn't need. Now here I made a mistake. Wanting to have a white patch on the side of its head, I had removed the green. I could have just glued it on top of the green. Then I realized I had nothing to glue the white patch to. I should have kept the green. Have no fear. I always find a way to make things work even when I make mistakes. I glued the pink belly where it needed to be, as well as the beak, while I thought about how to manage my previous mistake. The leftover scrap of white could be used to back that area, plus give white to the eye since the die poked out the bird's eyes and it was nowhere to be found. I didn't want it anyways. And I did glue that little white piece in that impression now so that it all looks like one level. And then I fussy cut off the extra white. The branch crosses over the bird's tail, so the back part goes behind the branch. That was easy to think of. I just need to make sure that the feet land up under the bird's belly and get the two parts as close to each other without leaving a gap. I tried to get that belly to touch over the edge of the branch just a teeny tiny bit. Then I used another scrap of white to bridge the gap and to hold the parts in place. Nobody will see the backside. Now the branches need a bit of trimming. My plan is to place the branches onto the blossoms. The pink branches will be covered with the brown, but I don't want extra points sticking out at the ends where the blossoms are supposed to be attached to the branch. I'm kind of glad the blossoms were cut into two separate parts. I think that made it easier to place them just right. Yes, that worked rather well. Let's see how it looks against our soft background. Yes, we have enough contrast. This silicone mat really is a helpful tool, especially for gluing things with many tiny details. You can easily rub off the glue. Also, having a portable gluing mat means keeping your work surface glue-free because you can pick it up, move it off to the side, or pull it in when you need it. You can purchase that silicone mat through my Shop With Me link in the video description below the video because I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. So there you have it, a multicolored image made with a single die cut. But I'm not finished with it. I pulled out my markers to add a few more touches to help the image along. I don't know if these are blossoms or berries. I'm seeing circular patterns, so I go around each circle with a darker shade of pink. That will make them seem a bit more round with darker outer edges. I'm glad for the white backing on the eye. That also enabled me to add a black dot in the eye. I used a peach, or maybe it was some shade of orange, to mark the breathing hole in the beak, plus the separation of the upper-lower beak. Now the bird can sing his happy little tune. For a little more texture on the wings, I used a similar color as the paper to add some directional lines on the feathers. I shaded extra color under the wing to add some depth, which makes the wing seem lifted above the body, and also behind the wing to push that part of the feathers backward. Under the branch, I added some extra shadow because the branch would cast a shadow there after all. But adding those shadows, it makes the branch appear to come forward. I also added a shadow at the base of the head where the neck would be. If birds have necks, I suppose they do, because they can turn their heads. We just can't see their necks. Now, for the feet. I used a golden yellow on the brown. I know, it's a lighter color than the brown paper, but it worked to make the feet look a different color than the branch. I then reached for a brown marker to add some shadows on the underside of the branches, skipping the feet to maintain that they are not the branch, even though you and I know they are one and the same. It's all the same piece of paper. It's all about the illusion. I'm pretty happy about that. Now it has even greater contrast with our background. I did need to trim the end of the branch at the proper angle so the bird can sit upright. We don't want to have a bird sitting crooked on the branch. He needs to look like he's sitting upright on top of his feet. I saw one more place that could use some adjustment. The belly has no shadow. By adding a shadow under the belly, it helps to round out the belly and make it believable that his belly is sitting on top of his feet. Kind of makes his feet look further back underneath of him. Now I'm ready to glue our multicolored image onto the card front. I decided to place it low, giving me more room for a sentiment up top. Yes, that works. Very sweet. I chose a bluish-green ink. Stampin' Up! Calls it Pretty Peacock. The sentiment I chose had the right amount of flair, and it used the word happiness, because that's what I was thinking. So I have created a little bluebird of happiness. I know it's not true blue, but it's almost blue. I still haven't decided if it's a welcome baby card or an anniversary card. The little bluebird of happiness will work for either. This will go into my starter bin, and when I decide to use it for somebody, for whatever occasion, most of the work is already done. All it will need is a simple message on the inside of the card. I hope you enjoyed this little video and the happy little bluebird brought you some happiness and perhaps some inspiration? Use a single die with multiple colors to create an even a better image. Well, have a nice day and thanks for watching.